Okay, yeah. So we had asked each moderator to prepare some quick overview of their sessions. I think you will get those slides anyway. But let's focus on the work our designer has done, because it really is excellent, and it is also going to be a very useful run through of what we've done. So first of all, this is the opening session, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. So it was only yesterday that we were starting the discussion, and we were starting this conference part of the event. I think we're going to be through this closing not just with the incredible work that Joyce has done with capturing the discussions and capturing the key elements discussed through this week. So we started yesterday with some nice opening notes by ETSI Director General, with a very good keynote by Erzsébet Fittori on SNSJU, current work, current objectives, how that links with standards, research, innovation, and open source and agility, and how that's important that these three worlds collaborate and work together towards 6G. We also had a chance to see what ETSI is doing in this space, and what our software development groups are doing, and how we are trying to enable this agility and collaboration between these different worlds through this new type of groups at ETSI. And then we started this journey through the network. So after this, we went towards access networks and services with Pablos. You.
Thank you very much, Silvia. So indeed, this was the first session where we saw some nice presentations speaking about, let's say, for example, how SDOs can leverage the specifications with copyright and dealing with copyright issues. Or we saw specific examples from 3GPP on their enabler and how let's say we can bridge the gap between application developers and the mobile network operators that was discussed also in the previous panel. We saw also specific tools. We saw the open source project from 5G MAG Association, for example, how you can use a tangible product, create the 5G reference to 5G MAG reference tools. So all in all, we can see that there are many, the key findings from this session, which are more or less similar to the other sessions, is that we have so many projects happening at the same time. We spoke in the last session about diversity, so it depends how you want to see it. The glass half empty or half full. Maybe I said something I shouldn't say, I don't know. But that's special. But in any case, I think it. Of course, we see that there's a multiplicity of initiatives. Not only the SDGs, of course, but we can see that currently the next 2 years are going to be very, very important for setting up all those projects. And of course, there is a challenge of integration, so we speak about fragmentation, but if we take it as, we need to think positively and take it as diversity of solutions. So we need to work on that, on how to communicate, to enhance the communication between all those different projects, different communities, and ensure that there is something in the end that can be useful and also possible monetization, which is one of the key, to be honest, one of the key important aspects. So what we saw, for example, is that 6G will require an open, we said that, Alex mentioned about even more open and more flexible access network, but also this applies also to the other network domains. And we will also have a vast range of different devices, different services, and for that we need open interfaces and to allow interoperable functions. This will be essential. Now we said that we saw in the Mentimeter question that we have many challenges in developing and adopting open source software for access networks and services. We mentioned interoperability, which is a key aspect. We already knew about that, but will continue to be in the future. But also security, trust, was mentioned, and the fragmentation. And something that was also very important is that we need to take into account to consider a steep learning curve between the ones that are going to use these solutions to learn how they will operate. In terms of suggested actions, it is clear that we all need to take action. So in the case of 6G, where the standards need to be rapidly developed and adopted, the role of open source is crucial. So we discussed about unified frameworks or a common map among the SDOs in order to ensure industry-wide alignment. There is a need to improve the communication channels, as mentioned, and between all these communities in order to reduce fragmentation and take advantage of the diversity, as we mentioned. And SNS4SNS as an event was a big step in that direction, but it certainly need to follow up and continue having these communication channels. And in terms of SDG, it is clear from all these discussions, it is a great initiative. All of them, they offer an excellent environment for stakeholders to collaborate effectively and impact standardization. And we need to definitely go on and attract more stakeholders in this community. So this is more or less the takeaways from the first session, but I guess there are many overlaps and let's say complementarities with the other sessions. Thank you very much.
Then let's move on to the next session, which was about telco cloud infrastructure. And who was that? Yeah, Pavlos.
With your analysis, there's quite some overlap, but I would try to just highlight some of the differences or the topics that we thought. And in this telco cloud session, I think that open source projects, open projects in general, are pivotal in enabling telco cloud transformation. We need to reduce redundancy, this diversity that we have been discussing these days, and to foster innovation. We have presented in our session Teraflow SDN as one of the HC SDGs, but we also had the chance to present the PowerPoint Foundation with their broadband router software solutions. And also it was a very interesting session with the people from that they presented as the multi-vendor telco DevOps transformation. It was a very nice view of how an operator could survive in the chaos of having to have a trusted system and to transform the technology through this pipeline of DevOps. So as main suggested actions, I took some of them because I thought they were very interesting. One is collaboration. I think that this has also been mentioned today in the panel. We need cross collaboration. That's something that we at SDGs we do. We collaborate regularly and we discuss regularly as a whole, and that's something that's very important to meet the different impact needs of our communities. We also need some way to incentivize vendors and operators to participate in the open solutions through recognition, funding programs. I was very interested into the discussion of to have maybe something like the STF, the Special Task Force that standards have for specific features that open source software might need, that they are interesting for the community as a whole, but there is no any specific sponsor for them. That's something that might be of interest. Also to collaborate into vulnerability testing programs. We need to build trustable systems. I think that that's very important, and security is a must for our software. And also the DevOps way. I think that we learn a lot on the proposal for DevOps transformation of the telco environment, and that's something that we need to enforce in our view. So that's all for session 2.
Thank you. Let's move on to management, orchestration, and operations. That was Christos.
Yep. So our session was about a key enabler of modern networks on management orchestration, and especially we discussed on autonomous networks. It's the area that AI will play a crucial role because we need to make everything autonomous here. We had very interesting presentations from open efforts in the area, from OpenSlice, from open source Mano, from Nefio. It was really interesting. As previous speakers discussed, we saw some similarity, but we revealed the diversity, the importance of diversity, and depending on the use cases, you have so many options to choose and create your solution, even end-to-end with open tools and open solutions. So it seems that we have all the elements in place to deliver an open source solution end-to-end that can deliver network as a service even from a business layer down to the infrastructure. And so that's in this way we cover all these capabilities of management and orchestration. As main findings, we saw that how important is automation in the networks, how we are moving now to declarative operations. We have seen that all of our solutions are moving towards this direction. Nobody can ignore the elephant in the room, who is Kubernetes and the operator pattern. So we must somehow adapt towards this and create solutions around this. And it seems that one important step that the operators must take here is the transformation from the legacy to the modern solution, which is very difficult. The transformation from pure network functions to containerized network functions seems that still needs work. Also, there are many solutions. Every day you have a new open source project. Really. It's also really difficult for us to follow the technology. So this needs to be thought by operators. They need to invest on a solution, and then they need to know that there is a vibrant community behind the solution, and they can invest on that. And they need to know that after 3 years, there is someone to call to raise a GitHub issue or a GitLab issue, and someone will respond. Otherwise, they cannot invest in this solution. Another way, of course, is to just download the code and maintain it internally. But again, this needs effort. So I think this is really important. Last but not least, we talked about collaboration. So I think within the SDG we are doing that, and we will also try to align and find our place within this ecosystem and offer solutions. Thank you.
Thank you. And then it's now David for the network exposure APIs and programmability.
Thank you. Okay, so on APIs, we had 3 sessions with 3 examples that are taking different approaches, but in all the cases, we are highlighting somehow the importance or the relevance of having not only the API's definitions, but having whether they are reference implementations, sandboxes to play with the APIs, or even the commercial implementation of some APIs in the case of Open Gateway. For OpenCAPIF and the rest of the SDGs, the value we have seen during this event is clear. We have all the demos that are showcased during these days, making use of the tools that have been developed through the SDGs. And also we have seen the potential and the power of cross-collaboration activities, like the ones that CAPIF, OpenCAPIF, and ETSIMEC are doing, where these 2 organizations are enriching the results by collaborating, providing mixed scenarios or integrated scenarios of the different technologies. We also learned in Nathan's presentation that having good technology is probably not enough to have commercial impact. So we need to listen to customers from the very beginning. Even when we are building standards, we need to listen to customers. And sometimes there is need for something more, some initiatives, some industry initiatives that can take these standards to the market and make the impact. And this is mainly the takeovers from the session.
Thank you. Well, then it's down to me.
Yeah.
The conclusions and next steps.
Back to
Well, you've heard all of this already. It should be fresh in your mind. So we've heard, first of all, from Alexandros about the importance of open networks in Europe and the enormous investment that Europe is making in the 6G timeframe and in 6G development on open networks. You heard about, the degree of openness that we're actually talking about. Open programmable networks is going to be quite significant, and the telco cloud open source solutions related to that. From ISAM, you have had an indicative timeline for 6G standardization. So we heard it's going to be coming in release 21. We don't have the exact dates, but know that the target is to have this, from sometime around about 2027 to 2029, 2030. I think two key messages from ISAM's presentation would be, first of all, 6G standardization is about to start. So if you're still developing technologies and research on that, hurry up. But the second thing to remember is we're still not finished with 5G. There's still, another release or two of 5G out there. We're still evolving. We're still adding capabilities to 5G. So don't forget about that. 5G is not done. And the same will apply with 6G. It will not be finished when the first specifications are issued. And then we heard from Diego about his view of the evolution of the landscape of standard specifications and open source and the benefits that each would bring. And basically, I think his key message was the way we specify technologies is evolving. We're using more software to accompany specifications for testing, for validation, and it brings a new degree of freedom and faster development. And in his perspective, open source is, at least in the telco space, is standardization by another means. So we need to find a balance, basically, to give us sufficient openness while maintaining incentives to innovate. We need to reduce complexity, but we also need to keep our eye on security and privacy as well. In terms of takeaways from this session, suggested actions, what I noted is, again, from Diego, standards bodies need to be more agile. We need to think about demonstrations, proofs of concept, focus less on architectures, focus more on interfaces and models. Open source bodies need also to think about models and interfaces, don't neglect legacy, and leave room for differentiation. We're not looking for single solutions from the open source community. Some ideas that were expressed in terms of practical steps: we need simple models to enable validation of training data, so simple software models. We could develop those in perhaps topics for a software development group or elsewhere. And we need maybe not standardized training data, but certainly open, accessible training data. But it's kind of difficult in the operator space because it shouldn't be specific to any operator. It should be anonymized and so on. And that's basically the final conclusions from this.
One more slide.
This. And of course, yes, the key takeaways. Sorry.
Key takeaways.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, most of these have already been mentioned in the summary that we just made. But this is like the final summary that we want you to take home. We have seen that the SDG ecosystem was launched quite recently and is growing. is a collaboration between research, industry, standardization bodies, and is producing very, very good results. Highlight again the importance of cross-collaboration between the SDGs and other projects. To avoid fragmentation, not diversity, fragmentation. It is clear the need for open programmable networks for the 6G. It's been highlighted in several of the sessions. And we see that AI will play a significant role in managing all this infrastructure, 6G core, etc., especially in the network automation and resource orchestration. AI is going to play a significant role, so it is important that you embrace these AI technologies today, not wait for someone to bring this technology to you, but embrace them today. The contributions to open source is also a very, very valuable outcome of the projects. So it's not only about writing papers, scientific papers, or impacting the standards. Contributions to open source are also very important. And we're doing an effort as well in the SDG community to align on the practices for managing this software development, and especially on highlighting where the contributions are coming from, so be able to track which projects and which partners are contributing to the open source development. And finally, take these open source tools to validation. Through pilots, through trials. You have the StreamD projects in the SNS that are quite useful to test use cases, to test this technology, but also do the business case validation. So technology, again, by itself is not enough. We need to make sure that what we are doing have impact in the market and can generate new revenues for the ecosystem. And with that, I think we have one more slide.
Yeah.